All right, folks, we are back for more Grand Blue Fantasy versus Rising, and this is a video that this was concept. Again, there's a lot of these where like I've talked about this, I think, before, but I just figured it's good to condense this into like a single video. And also, Miyato won the intermediate bracket last week, and she wanted me to make a video on this, so sure, why not? I like the idea of this. The video, as you can probably tell by the title and thumbnail, is going to be about training modes, and more specifically, how to use training modes, and honestly, more specifically, how to not use training mode, because I think the big problem that I think a lot of people have, especially a lot of new people to the video game, is I think they put way too much priority on training modes, and they think that they have to spend all this time figuring out everything in training mode and knowing all of their characters' combos and all of this before they can even hop on and play the video game. And this is not going to be a long video because I have a very simple thesis on this. I'm going to walk you through an example, basically. But the thesis is basically you don't need to be in training mode almost ever. Oh, by the way, yeah, quick to mention all this the frame meter and the hitboxes and stuff. This is not part of the base game. This is a mod, a very amazing mod, which everyone should download. It's quite easy to install as well. I'll link it in the description of this video. But this thing is great. It makes the example we're gonna go through right now in the training mode to show like an example of when you should use it is It's gonna be a lot easier because I have this mod installed. So, but anyway. Without further ado, I guess a little bit more further ado, like the video, subscribe, come by, hang out on the streams, join the Discord, all that good stuff, linked in the description down there. I'd love to have you here. Just, be nice, or I'll shoot you in the head in Minecraft. Now, training mode. This is something that a lot of people will tell me that, training mode is boring, or training mode is, they don't enjoy doing it, or, like, why do they don't want to do it that much, or, like, how do they actually make, like, good use out of training mode, all of these different questions, right? And the answer really is that 99% of the time, I don't think you need to spend almost any time in training mode, right? Training mode for me is very much, I have a question and I need an answer, right? If I have a question and I need an answer to my question, I go to training mode. I don't lab aimlessly. Between matches, I'll just be like, sometimes I'll just like do this a bunch, just like really get the muscle memory of like hitting these BMBs into you, I guess. That's fine. Even that's like not super necessary, especially if you're new, right? Also like have your combos super down pat. But that's like not really using training mode. That's me just like idly doing that while I yap and wait for my next match on ranked, right? What I would consider like a proper use of training mode is, it happened actually just now, earlier in the stream, in something that I was doing, where I was fighting a Vikala, right? I was fighting Vikala, and Vikala was doing something that, like, I kind of got put in a block string infinite, which I know is fake, because those don't exist. So I was like, I went into training mode to be like, wait, so what is the answer to this, right? And the sort of idea in question here, right, was the Vikala, when she had me in the corner, was just doing far H into fellas over and over again, right? They're going like far H, fellas, far H, fellas. You get the idea, right? So when I was in match, I was kind of like just blocking this out, and I wasn't really sure. Also, you can change how far away they reset. I learned this today. So if you want to reset her at mid-range, you can go like quick menu, position reset, right? And then distance mid-range right here, and that puts her there instead of right next to you. Yeah, I was like, what do I do about this? Because in match, I was kind of like blocking it over and over, and I wasn't really sure what to do, right? And they just did it over and over and over and over again, and I eventually got to 100 meter, and when I got to 100 meter, I supered through the rats, right? So that worked. But I was like, there's no way that I can, like, there's no way this is the only answer, is to just super through it, right? If I don't have 100 meter, there's no way it's an infinite, right? So that was a question. I played a match, and something happened to me, and I was like, I don't understand that. And like, the question can be relatively poorly formed. Like, I didn't know, for example, like, I was like, I just don't know what to do about that interaction. It wasn't a super pointed question. It wasn't a super organized question. It was just like, this interaction right here, what do I do about this, right? And the answer was kind of that I just don't know, right? Well, it's far H, not close H, but yeah, right? So this is a good use case of like, you go to training mode to find a solution to your problem, right? Incidentally, what it turned out being, and this is why the hitbox viewer here is great. If you notice something about Vikala's far H right here, you can also pause and go frame by frame with this thing, with F5 and then F6. This thing is amazing, right? So you'll notice this green box here is Vikala's hurt box. It's where she can take damage. The red box is her hit box, where she can do damage. And you might notice that the entire fucking Dormouse, basically, is a hurt box. You can hit her. You can smack Dormouse here and hit Vikala, right? So what this ended up being for me is that this has an 11 frame startup, and there's a bit of a gap between her doing this, like, so the rats into the far H like this. At first, I tried to defeat the rats, right? I was like, if she's doing this over and over, right? I tried to go through the rats, right? And I tried to roll, and I got hit every time. I tried to, like, jump, and it wasn't, like, it works sometimes, right? But it's not, like, depending on the spacing and the timing, yeah, you can still get hit out of it, right? It's not super satisfying. Jumping works. That's not, but it felt, again, it felt a little bit more, yeah, sometimes if you wait too long, you get hit out of your jump, stuff like this, right? So it didn't feel, like, super great, right? So I was like, so then, again, some people will say like, oh, but if I don't have the experience to like properly formulate the question or know how to answer it or whatever, I didn't either, man. I just had her do this over and over and tried a bunch of shit, and I was like, that doesn't work. Okay, can I like mash? Nope, that doesn't work. Okay, can I jump? Okay, yeah, sometimes, right? But like, you know, sometimes I can't jump. Like, literally just try your options and see what works. There's no needs to like immediately be able to know like, ah, yes, judging by the parameters of this interaction, this must be the optimal answer. No, right? I literally just kept trying shit until something worked. And then, so I kind of came to the conclusion of like, okay, I've tried most of the things against the rats, and like, besides this, I have not found like, that being like pretty timing specific as well, like it's definitely more so on like on a read than on a reaction, right? I'll think that's not feeling super satisfying. So I started looking at the actual normal. There's two parts to this, right? There's far H and there's rats. So if beating the rats is kind of hard, maybe beating the far H isn't that bad, right? Because there's always, nothing is like ever an infinite, right? So like, there's always got to be something that you're missing. So that's when the hitbox viewer made it very easy to realize that like, holy shit, there's a gigantic hurtbox on this thing. So if what I can do, this is also, to be fair, risky, but you know, she's in the corner, she should have an advantage here. What I can do is like, if she's just doing this over and over, right? I can sweep her, and it can catch her. Lydio has a very big, very fast sweep, right? And it can either like whiff punish her if she's too far away, or if she's a little bit closer, right? We can straight up hit her as it's coming up because it extends her hurtbox a shit ton when she starts the move, right? Like if you see her doing it, basically like it's very quickly her hurtbox gets huge, right? So I just go like, okay, so I can also, besides just jumping the rats, I can also try and sweep the far H here, right? Again, risky because if it's not a reaction, it's a preemption, right? But if she doesn't do the far H, I go to hell. Understandable. But again, it's, you know, we're trying to get out of her pressure. It's understandable to get out of pressure here. We're gonna have to take a risk, right? We found out you can like this can clash sometimes, right? Let me reset to mid range here, right? This can clash sometimes, and then when it clashes, I found out the 2U and far H have the same attack level, and when they clash, hold on, the timing's a little bit hard because I'm doing both of them at the same time here. I can JM, and when I JM, I get a full combo, right? Which is very funny. But again, I would never have found this out if I hadn't, like, that's so strange, because when you clash with 2U, you get left airborne, so you can do it on aerial after, right? This is very funny, but I would never have found this had I not labbed it out, right? But again, I don't just, like, rolling didn't work for Lydia, I don't know if it worked for other characters. Yeah, Lydia's roll is slower, it's possible, right? But anyway, point being, I had that in a match, I went, what do I do about that? And then I went to the training modes to find out. And then once I found my answer, guess what? I left, right? I left training mode when I did that, right? I left with a very satisfying answer. Now, this is a very, very funny answer to this. Like, it actually gives me a full combo, which is really funny. But, yeah. So, is Lydia's 2U higher priority than Vikal's far H? Or is Lydia's 2U higher priority or is Vikal's far H lower? I think, let's see, actually. So, like, if it's higher, if it's lower, then my far M will clash as well. Wait. The timing's a little bit hard here, because the far M is faster. But yeah, I can't go too late or I'll get smacked. So like right now, see, again, Floral asked me a question. I have a question. I want to answer it. I go and I check in training, right? The timing's a little bit hard for this one, is the only thing. Wait. Oh, yeah, crush. Oh, yeah, no. Lydia's 2U was a heavy? Jesus. Yeah, because that crushed my far M, right? Lydia's 2U was a heavy. Wow. I don't think I knew that. Okay, cool. Yeah, so if you don't know what happened there, there was one point where it popped up counter and crush instead of just counter. That means that it was a higher priority attack than mine. Yeah, see counter and crush right there. That means that when different priority normals clash, the higher priority one wins. It says crush right there. And if they're the same priority, you get the clash. You got like the big this, right? So heavies are the same, and it usually goes light, medium, heavy, right? And it accelerates from there. DPs, supers, all that, right? So this is a medium, that's a heavy, so you would expect that the medium will beat the heavy. Some characters have like weird stuff for their priorities, like Fairy's Whip, her heavies are mediums and her mediums are lights, and Vasaraga's Scythe, his mediums are heavies and his heavies are nukes, right? But yeah, so no, turns out that Vikala's far H is normal, but Lydia's 2U is just a fucking bomb. That's insane. Lydia's 2U is a heavy attack level move, who would have thought? Vegeta 5L is M level? Yeah, there's some exceptions, but in general, lights clash with lights and they get crushed by mediums, which clash with mediums, they get crushed by heavies, and so on, right? But anyway, so there you go. There's another, it popped up in the middle. Someone in chat had a question. They were like, you know, why is it happening that way? We use training modes to answer our questions. But I find a lot of people, again, especially new players, will like, they'll get the game and the first thing they'll do is like hop into training mode and just like do this for like a lot of time, right? And just like try and figure out combos and try and like do all this stuff. That's fine. But you really don't need to, I think you should spend as little time in training modes. Here's sort of, if I had one sort of thesis for this video, right? Spend as little time in training mode as you can get away with. Because training mode is not playing the game. You don't really, like, You don't gain experience in training mode. You don't do anything in training mode. All you do in training mode is answer questions, right? You can do drills and stuff. That's also fair. Like if you want to get better at reacting to Raging Strike, right? You can definitely like. But again, I guess have a question or a very specific goal in mind, and once it's done, leave. Don't just sit in training mode aimlessly because you think that you should because you need more practice or something. Hop on ranked. You're gonna lose because you're new and you don't know what's happening. When you have questions, you go, "What was that?" Go into training mode, answer the question for yourself, and then keep going. Right? But yeah, you can do drills as well. Like I can like record Vicala like to do Raging Strike or like 6XL or something, and like you can record in 2 different slots and then have her switch between them randomly, right? And then like sometimes she'll Raging Strike, sometimes she'll 6XL, and you only spot dodge when you see the Raging Strike, and so on and so forth, right? The only other time that I think you need to go into training mode, right? Again, especially as a beginner, once you're in like high level play, once you're like, like going to tournaments and stuff, you can go in tournaments at any point. I say like once you're like a competitive tournament player, so if you're like the top 0.1% of the player base, you don't need this video, right? You understand. At that point, it becomes very personalized, right? But the only other thing I'll say, and you'll notice I do this a lot, on the first episode of the Road to Master videos, right? When you are first playing a character, spending some time in training mode is probably okay, but even then, not that much, right? So like when I started playing Eustace, right, what did I do? And same thing with Vasraga, same thing with Sora's, everything, right? I was like, okay, literally, what do his specials do? Like, what are they? Right? So like, cool, this is a projectile of some kind. That's a horizontal projectile of some kind, right? And I try like the light, medium, and heavy versions and stuff like that. Cool. See what the use skill looks like. Okay, nice, yeah. Same thing, right? Just like see what the different versions of the move do. You don't have to understand it super in depth, right? Just like get a vague idea of what they are. Okay, that one's a grenades, right? The light grenade, the medium grenade, sure, whatever, heavy grenade, and then U grenades, right? And again, you don't need to know exactly how they work, just like know that they exist. Oh yeah, I can't grenade when the other grenade is out. I mean, I figured it out right there. Right? And then like just trying out the specials, seeing what they do, right? And then very plainly, right? I personally like to use it. This is the framework that I use for myself. You don't have to do it yourself, but I find it useful when I see to get a quick idea of what I want to do with the character. Basic ideas, not optimal, not perfect, basic ideas of what to do from this distance, what to do when I'm right here, what to do if people jump at me. In this case, for most characters in this game, it's 2H and figure out like a very basic 2H combo, maybe, if that, right? And then what do I do when I get a knockdown in the corner, right? Like if I like have a knockdown, what am I supposed to do, right? And don't worry about finding the best answers to this. Find something that seems reasonable, and depending on your experience level, you'll be able to get more progress done in like 5 minutes of labbing. The better you are at fighting games, and the more experience you have, and the more new characters you've picked up, the more you'll be able to get out of a 5-10 minute lab session to figure all this stuff out. That's okay. If you can't get as far as I can in 5 minutes, that's okay. And if, people better than me are going to get way further in 5 minutes, that's fine. The point is not to get to the point you can get the character to master in the one training session. It's that you can have a vague idea of what you want to do, right? So like, as an example, right? Maybe I'm playing Eustace and I'm like, I don't know. I mean, from this distance, I have projectiles, right? Maybe I just like shoot my projectiles, right? This projectile covers like this vertical space, so I guess like that can help. I should mix that in to like stop guys jumping, right? I got a lot of projectiles, so I think from this like long range distance, I probably want to shoot people, right? If they jump at me, I don't know. I mean, like we can try, right? I can have the call up, like I can record her doing this, jumping at me, right? I kind of see. I'm like, okay, 2H. You can for combos, you can find like there's character guides, right? The character guide is pretty nice. You can go like you can find like basic combos here. Find the basic anti-air combo and do it. It might not be optimal, but who cares? It'll be easy enough, right? So like, okay, when they jump at me, I 2H and I do this basic anti-air combo, right? You can see a preview of it and everything, where you can go in, right? You can begin the combo practice. You can like, I think you can hit. Is it this? Yeah, you can hit this to have them show it to you, right? Cool. Okay, if this is too hard, you can always like just maybe only do like the first bit. Maybe only do like 2H into H grenades, right? And that's your anti-air combo. That's not bad. It doesn't have to be like the perfect optimal thing, right? Just have an idea of what you want to do, and you can iterate on it as you go. This is just to get you started, right? It's okay. I have a basic anti-air combo. Cool. I know that from this distance, it's gonna be like firing my gun. From up here, I mean, I don't know. Like I guess he doesn't really have that many like pressure specials, but he's got this thing, right? So I guess like I can maybe like just do button into like this thing, because we tried earlier and so like you have different follow-ups out of this, right? So I guess we can try to do this to like mix people up a bit, right? And for every character in Grand Blue, there's like always you can always just go like close L into throw, or like close L into this, or like 6XL into throw, or like run up and backdash. Don't even worry about incorporating too many of those options. Like there's universal stuff that once you learn it on one character, you don't have to learn it on anyone else. Like you don't have to learn it again on anyone else. There's universal offensive stuff you can do. But again, if all you learn to do is like when I'm up close, I'm gonna like do this, and then I'm like if they block it, right? If they block it, I'm either gonna like throw them or I'm gonna do it again, right? And if they get hit by it, I'll figure out a basic combo. Like maybe I go auto combo into this or something. That's fine. That's okay. That's fine. Like is that the optimal use of mid screen? Hell no. But do you give a shit? You just started. No. Right, again, depending on your experience level, if you like have like 3 characters in master and you're learning your 4th one, again, you probably don't need this video. But if you're just starting off, who cares, man? Right? Get something that works, and then as you go, iterate on it. I'm gonna keep saying this. The goal of this this sort of special initial training mode session when you first pick a character up is just to get you started. It's not to get you optimal, right? So it's like, okay, cool. So we know like from this distance, we're gonna be firing this gun a bunch, and like maybe doing some of this, and maybe doing some of this, whatever. Just like whatever feel like, just try to stay unpredictable, right? And then up close, we do like this, and if it hits, we go like bonk into that, and if they block it, we either like run up and throw them, or like we do it again, or something like that. Cool, amazing. We have our basic anti-air combo the character guide taught us, and that's pretty much it. I mean, the last thing is like try and figure out what you do on a knockdown, but it's kind of the same thing. You can do your same offense, right? I run up and I do this, and if it hits, maybe I learn a corner combo that's a little bit different, right? Maybe for a corner combo, I can, you can try finding things in the character guide again, right? That's fine. But yeah, if it hits, I do my combo, and if it doesn't hit, I either throw them to reset the situation, right? Or I go again to try and catch them matching, right? There. So that you can do all of that, get a basic idea in like 5-10 minutes, and then go to ranked. Spend as little time in training mode as you can. I think one of the biggest mistakes that a lot of new people make is they spend too long in training mode. If you like it, that's fine. If you have fun doing it, the #1 goal is always do what is most fun to you. If you don't even want to fucking play the game, if you just want to spend all day labbing, that's amazing, that's great. But a lot of people, I think, are like Miyato, who told me to make this video. I mean, Miyato's basically master at this point. I would hardly call her a beginner. But like, a lot of people will be like, training mode's not fun. How do I make it fun? I don't want to lab all of this. Why do I have to lab? You don't have to lab. You don't have to lab, right? Yeah, if you like it, that's again, the #1 goal is always do what's fun. If training mode is the most fun part of the game to you, I don't give a fuck if you never hop on ranked. That's okay. But if you feel like you are labbing out of some sort of obligation because that's what you're supposed to do, because you have to know X and Y and Z before you hop on ranked, fuck no, man. You will learn a lot more by playing the game. For this initial training mode session, get just enough to sort of understand, right, what your character's moves are, go on ranked, and then when something isn't working, then you can start slowly trying to add one thing at a time, right? So like, for example, like, you're like, okay, like I feel like I'm like eventually, if you say you have this basic game plan and you're like in C rank or whatever, and it's working pretty well. But then like eventually you feel like I'm hitting this guy a lot, and I'm not winning because like when he hits me, there's a lot more red in my health bar, right? Than when I hit him. Like, what's up with that? Okay, that's probably a good sign. Like, okay, maybe like we try and figure out a slightly better combo, and then again you go into the character guide and they'll have basic stuff for you, and you can elaborate from there, right? If you're like for some reason literally no one is like I can't ever hit anyone, right? Because maybe like all you're doing is this over and over, right? A lot of new players just do like auto combo into like some kind of special as their pressure a lot, right? They'll go like, auto combo into this or something. And you're like, I can't ever hit anyone. Everyone's just blocking everything I do. All right, well, okay, maybe you go into training mode and you try out different options and you check, make sure see all the things you can do. And you're like, oh yeah, like throw's unblockable. I need to throw people more. Because then if I'm throwing them more, they'll be less comfortable with blocking, which means they might mash or jump or whatever. And then in that case, suddenly these will start hitting a lot more, right? But again, point being that get a baseline, go play the video game, and when you have a question or when you feel a pain point, go to training modes to solve that pain point. I know I'm repeating myself a lot in this video, but like, people don't do this. People don't do this, and I have seen it like for some people, like actively make them have less fun with the video game. You don't have to lab. Labbing is not mandatory. Labbing, if anything, it is really something I think you do more as you get better. I think there's a bit of a misconception that like when you're new, you have to lab a lot because you have so much to learn, right? And like once you get better, you know everything, so it's fine. No, I think as you get better and as you get more experience, you will find yourself labbing more often, right? Like this Vikala interaction that I labbed, I wouldn't. If you're like in C rank and like that Vikala's looping that shit forever and it's not, and you don't know how to get out of it. I mean, if it's like really if every fucking match is a Vikala and you're dying all the time, then sure. But like a lot of the time, just be like, just hope, do your best to match. They're not gonna fucking do that in C rank, but like do your best to match. If it doesn't work, wait for an opportunity. They'll change it up eventually and go. Focus on your own character, man. like as you get more experience, you have to start learning about other people's characters and other matchups and interactions and more detailed things. And like maybe you want to know what a safe jump is, you want to lab those out, you want to find your optimal combos. You will lab more as you get better at the game, actually. I think labbing for a beginner is much less useful, because also, you may have been thinking this whole time that like, oh, like you're like saying all this, like you can figure out like, oh, like you can diagnose that like, oh, like they're doing more damage to me than I am to them, which like that means the problem is my combo and all that. Like what if I can't even figure out what the problems are to go to training mode? Then don't fucking go to training mode. If you don't have enough experience under your belt that you can't even figure out what you don't know and what you do know, keep playing the game until it becomes obvious, right? If you don't have a pointed, direct goal in training mode, you will find yourself kind of like aimlessly labbing, and it'll feel like you're not getting anywhere and you're wasting time, and you're not having fun, and you're confused. If you can't formulate a direct question that has a yes/no answer, or like, what is the answer to this, and then it has like the answer is gonna be like a move or like jumping or something. If you can't formulate a direct question with an obvious answer once you find it, like once you find it, it'll be obvious. Like, you know, what do I do about the Kala doing far H fellows all over and over again? Oh, I jump the rats or I sweep the far H, right? Obvious, like very simple, concise answer at the end there. If you can't formulate a question that has an answer like that, you don't go to training mode, man. Keep playing the video game. As you get more experience, you'll get more used to things. Training mode is only useful if you know what you're doing with it, right? And if you aren't, that's okay. You're not missing out on anything. As you play more, you'll get more experience. You'll be more easily able to tell what you should and shouldn't do in there. Okay? Okay. I think that's about it. I guess I did end up, I thought it was going to be a 10-minute video. It's a 21-minute video, so oopsie. I did all the characters. I personally don't know how feasible the frame data is. What are you talking about? I think I saw about the installation still, it's fine. But yeah, so real quick, I thought it was gonna be a 10-minute video. It's a 21-minute video, oopsie. But just to recap, right? I know I'm gonna repeat myself for the very last time. Don't worry about it. To recap. Use training mode as little as you can possibly get away with. And you can get away with a lot less than you think. There are exactly 3 uses for training mode that are general purpose that are worthwhile, I think. You have a specific question about a specific thing that you want an answer for. How do I do more damage? How do I beat this move? What do I do when X situation happens? You are doing a drill to practice something, your reactions, your anti-air, something like that, which again, that don't worry about when you're new. That's more of an intermediate to high level thing, but sure. Or you are literally just picking up a character for the first time and you don't know what to do with them. This is going to be the longest training mode session, this last one, where you're just picking someone up for the first time. Even then, it shouldn't be that long. Figure out what to do when they jump at you, what to do from mid-range, what to do up close, a basic combo for anti-airs and for mid-screen, which again, you don't have to figure out yourself. They have a character guide for you. Take the basic combo. If you can do it, great. If you can't, cut it off somewhere halfway through. Like if you're like, you know, if you're doing like this like practical close range combo for Ladiva here, right? Like if you like can't, like they're saying like do 1, 2, and then this, right? If you're like, if I just messed it up right there. If you don't want to do that, then just, you know, don't do that. Just do this instead, right? If you can't do the combo that exists, do something fine, like just cut it in half. Do less combo. That's fine. So get your basic combo, your basic mid-screen, your basic corner combo, your basic anti-air combo. And they can be basic. I want to say basic. I really want to emphasize that. What to do when you're at mid-range, what to do when you're close to them. That's it. Hop on ranked. Go. Right? And that should be your longest training mode session. Wouldn't 5 to 15 minutes a day of basic execution be important? Not really. I mean, if it's like really causing you trouble, then sure. I would say like, again, one thing you can definitely do is something I like doing is like if I'm on ranked, right? What I like to do is we can go on ranked and like we can be in queue and I can wait in training mode and just like if there's something you want to practice, like say like you're so in ranked right here, you can wait in training mode, right? So click this, pick your character, right? Pick your character, and then just like while you're waiting for a match, you can just like mindlessly do your combo over and over. That's fine. That's basically practicing execution. But I wouldn't hold yourself off from going into ranked for that purpose. Do it as long as it takes for your queue to pop. If you get a match every minute or every 30 seconds, then don't do it that long. If like no one's fucking online that day, then sure. Like yeah, I feel like, you know, you want to like practice some combo while you're waiting on standby for a match. You can just go like, yeah, okay, this is my combo with Ladiva. I'm just gonna do this over and over like while I wait, right? There's nothing wrong with that, right? Yeah. Bonk, and then like, you reset, you just do it again. Because like, and you know, like you listen to music or doing something else, like something like just do it. Yeah, so that's okay. But I wouldn't, unless it's like really killing you, and it shouldn't probably. You see, and then my match comes up, and I go from there. Right? Obviously, I'm not going to play ranked right now. At that point, I would go, right? I wouldn't like hold myself off from playing the game. But you can wait in between your matches and just like, yeah, practice your combo or whatever. That's fine. But I wouldn't like mandate it for yourself. I have to do 5 minutes of execution training every day before I can hop on ranked. Nah, man. Nah. If you're like, everything about my game is amazing, but I just keep dropping my combos. Okay. At that point, you have a problem. You've identified a specific thing. Like, my problem is that I keep dropping my combo. Okay, sure. Maybe then regiment yourself from some practice, but not necessarily, right? Reasonable, though more than combos, I would say being sure you can do DPs that even thinking is more important next unit combo. That's a fair point, Stroy. Not for this game, though. Right? That's a fair point, but I would say for Grand Blue, at the very least, bro, you just hit forward and special in this game. You got simple inputs, man. Even then, when you're new, if you're playing Street Fighter, for example, where like DPing on reaction is really tough, guess what? You know, if you're playing Ryu, do crouching heavy punch for an anti-air, man. And like worry about DP later. You have bigger problems right now than like properly DP anti-air, right? You like, if you're new to the game, you have so much bigger problems and weaknesses in your game than doing, you know, like if you like, you know, do like your, you know, instead of, obviously in Grand Blue it's different. Like, you know, do like your 2H instead of like a DP input. Right? In Grand Blue, it's easy because you just hit forward and special, right? So there's no problem there. But like, don't worry about if you're like bad at motion inputs, dude. Just like, don't do them. Even in a game like Grand Blue, it's great because like you have a simple input, right? So you just like run up and like hit your one button, and you do your special. Cool. But like even in a game with inputs, you don't have to do them when you're like in Iron, man. If you're in Rookie in Street Fighter 6, don't do DPs, right? You don't need DPs. You have bigger problems than learning how to DP consistently, right? Don't worry about it, man. Don't worry about it, right? And like at once you feel like, okay, like everything is going well, but I can't. People keep jumping in on me, and it's not working. Like I keep getting like bopped out of my jump-ins. Now you have a problem. Now you're like, okay, what is the solution to this problem? It's DP. Now I have to learn how to do my 6-2-3. But like realistically, man, you probably don't even. No, I'm not. Yeah, you're right about Grand Blue. But like even in Street Fighter, like I wager you could get all the way to Plats and never do a 6-2-3 input. Right? Like I think you could get all you could probably get to master without, but like you have to be smurfing, right? But like you could probably get all the way to platinum in SF6 without ever doing a DP anti-air. Ever. Not once. I don't think you need it. Genuinely, right? So like while yes, that is a point of improvement, if you're struggling with motion inputs, don't worry about it too much. They're really not that like when people are newer at the game, they're not that important. And a game like Grand Blue, of course, they don't matter at all, right? Anyway, sorry, I kinda got taken aback there. But yeah, I think I've repeated myself enough. I think I've summarized everything I wanted to say, right? Find a problem, answer it. Otherwise, don't go to training mode. Unless you like it. Again, the final thing is always, whatever is the most fun for you, do what is the most fun for you, right? That's going to do it for the video. It did end up being 30 minutes somehow. I really promise I didn't do this on purpose. I guess this is something I have stronger thoughts on than I thought I did. Hope you had a good time with it. I'm not going to waste any more of your time here. Come by, join the streams, join the Discord, link in the description. I'll link the frame meter mod as well, because it's very nice for like finding answers to certain questions. Hope you had a great time hanging out today. I know I sure did. Use less training mode, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.